Hello, this is Dr. RB coming to you live from Galicia, Spain, and we're actually in my backyard. It's the pruning season here in Spain, so it's actually my first time pruning. Thanks to YouTube and the neighbors and my family that lives here, I'm getting a lot of pointers and tips. And so I wanted to share some of the things that this is reminding me of, but I wanted to show you first the whole pruning thing that we've done. So there is the little hill of all the pruning that we've done. So you have a lot of different types of branches and bark from different trees. Just wanted to show you, we have on this property, we have 5 cherry trees, different types, and we had to prune those because since we've been here since 2019 is when we bought the property. I think we had someone come out and prune. They didn't do much though, because it wasn't pruning season. So this is one of the trees that we have pruned. And what I learned is that when you prune, you try to prune like as flat as possible. And then you have to put this resin, organic resin type of thing so that it heals. It's like a sealant. And what that reminded me was watching Justin from Homesteady. Justin says that Mother Nature does not like to be naked. She's very modest, so she does not like to be uncovered. So that kind of reminded me that even trees, when you cut at them and you prune, it's good to put that, whatever they call it, to resin, to seal it so that nothing gets in and it's covered. This is another tree that we pruned a lot. It is a fig tree, and fig trees remind me of banyan trees. Coming from Miami, because I am from Miami. In Miami, we have a lot of banyan and ficus trees, and it kind of reminds me, see there how you have like a jungle effect? Even the roots, once the roots hit air, they start to become like separate trees. And we have here, I wasn't planning on a tour, but here is an apple tree, and I thought it was a crab apple, but it's actually just a small apple tree. It has smaller apples. We have there a chestnut tree and 2 hazelnut trees, and then we have our other 2 cherry trees, which are the oldest, so they're pretty big. And there's another hill there of all the branches and everything that we cut. And so what I have learned as a newbie, you need to kind of keep the middle kind of empty as possible so that sunlight can get in there and air can circulate, and the tree is healthier that way. So any branches coming inside the tree, whoops, sorry about that glove effect, but anything coming inside the tree is not good for the tree because it starts to block oxygen and sunlight, and so that can start to hurt the tree and kill the tree. The tree becomes unhealthy. And so we did a lot of pruning. This is just another, you know what? I think this is another apple tree. I'm not sure. I always get confused. I have to wait till they start to grow. But this is actually February. It's warmer than usual, and you see the trees are already starting to bud. So if we don't prune now, we won't be able to until next year. The best time to prune is actually winter, where the fruit trees are dormant. And the only tree that's not dormant, as you can see here in northern Spain, it's citrus. You can see there's our 4-season navel orange that's packed with oranges, wonderful sweet oranges. And we have a mandarin tree that's small there, and we have a kumquat tree that's there. So the citrus is actually growing, and I don't know if you could see it but you do have, I'm zooming it in, a lemon tree with a big lemon over there. And so we were told by the folks here that we should give the first fruits back to the tree. In other words, you don't pull it, you let it rot on the tree, it'll fall next to the tree. And then these are acacias, which are not native to northern Spain. It's actually an invasive species, and people want to cut them down. We would like to cut some of that down so we could have more of the view of the river. We used to have more of a view, but those trees are invasive and they take over, but they're gorgeous. This time of year, they have those yellow blooms. It's just starting, so the whole tree's gonna be yellow. It's just gorgeous, and that lets us know that spring is almost here, and that usually happens right before Carnival. And so you have our gorgeous view of the Minho. The Minho River is a river that becomes the border of Spain and Portugal, for those of you that don't know. And so one of the thoughts that I had from pruning is that if you don't prune, the tree becomes unhealthy. And you know, sometimes it's scary to prune because I'm always scared, am I going to prune more than I should? They say about 30% of the tree is the most you can prune, otherwise it becomes a trauma for the tree. So that also started to lead me to think of what areas of one's life needs pruning, right? What areas we might be scared to prune them. We might be scared to look at them, process them, and cut them off so that they stop growing. But it's important to do that. If you don't do that, they can continue to take over your life, and eventually that's not healthy. It becomes very toxic, just like it becomes toxic to the tree if we don't prune. And so for those of you that have had trauma in your life, and hopefully you are processing the trauma or dealing with the trauma, we're here on this earth to process our life and to deal with things, right? We're here not just to put them in the back burner and pretend they don't exist, or just not confront them or face them. No, they're trauma, they're in our life, they're there for a reason. And if we could get past the trauma and work with it, there's a pot of gold underneath that trauma. It is really a gift. It may not feel like it may not seem like it, but there is a pot of gold underneath that. And just like here, if now that we're pruning and I followed all the directions and I'm hoping I did it correctly, there'll be much more fruit, and the fruit will be sweeter and just wonderful because I was able to work on those branches that are not healthy and they're not good for the tree, and I had to prune them. So ask yourself, what are some areas in your life that you would like to process and prune? The pruning takes place with the process. So you process it, you work through it, and then there's no more power there. It's not taking life from you any longer, and then that becomes a pruning process. It just dies off. Power leaves it, power comes back to you, and your life becomes empowered. And you can then look at that trauma and it's not going to bring up those strong emotions anymore. If you need any help working through this or anything else, please send me a message, DM me, and we could see how we can work forward through this trauma. Happy pruning.